Hi everybody, my name is Tyler Casey and I'm the author of Disability and Me. Today's guest, I'm joined by the lovely Skye. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Skye. I'm deaf and I wear 2 cochlear implants.
Brilliant. Oh, so Skye, I didn't realise you wear 2 then, in both your ears?
Yeah, I had them both done at the same time.
Lovely. So how then was the transition then for you from wearing the standard hearing aids that just it's a silicone mould in your ear and then around the back battery pack? How was the transition for you?
The transition for me, it was, I think because obviously when I was 16, I kind of woke up one morning and my right ear had died on me, so not even a hearing aid could help. So by going through the process of obviously all the testing, all like the questions and exams and stuff to kind of almost like qualify for an implant, it was everything was to be doing. I was doing everything with one ear working, not even like a full ear because, you know, this ear wasn't the best anyway. Mm-hmm. And I just remember when I did like the switch on for the implant, it was, everyone sounded so weird. Like they didn't sound like themselves. But I think at the end of the day, I'm very lucky that I can now hear out both ears. And yeah, I'm just very blessed that I'm able to like hear fully and hear all the sounds I need to hear. But it was a long process. It was stressful, but you know, I got there in the end.
It is worth it in the end, isn't it? I remember when I had this woman come out to the house to make some amendments to my house, like the smoke alarm and then the house alarm, etc. And she gave me this. It were like a bit of a pack of some sort, like almost like a little phone. And she gave me these things and she said, put them in your ear. So I put them in my ear. Bear in mind, usually I can only hear out of one ear anyway. So I was thinking, what's this? And basically it was like this recording sound to like emphasize all the sound around me. And I was sat in my living room where I am now. I was on the sofa and I had my living room window open. I think it might be summertime, so just let some air circulate. And I had this thing in my ear, this battery pack, and all I could hear all these noises that I never even heard before. I could hear the wind outside, and I was like, "Oh my word! I've got the window open, and I can hear like the wind outside, all by using this like sound emphasizer." And I was like, "Oh my word!" And then my daughter as well, she was with me, and I was like, "Millie, listen to this," because I don't hear things that in depth. I do hear out of my left ear, but I'm not full. I don't hear everything. My ear's the only reliant ear that I've got, but I can't hear 100% out of it. So I hear everything very minimalistic. I think I have to hear things that are very, very close up. Or if I do hear anything, it's almost like hustling and bustling sounds. So I don't quite know what they are, but I just hear something. Something kind of grabs my attention. So then when I heard like another noise then that I'd never heard before, I was so like, oh my word, what is this? This is just crazy.
Yeah.
So I did really, really like it. And I still use that to this day though. Sometimes it's nice when I've got the TV on just to be able to ignore everything else around me and just focus and listen to the TV, really. That's nice. I do like that. So, do you want to take us back then to like when you was born and then when you then found out then that you was deaf?
Yeah, so I found out when my parents found out that I was deaf when I was about 21 months old, and my mum would kind of like, she really should be responding to some sounds right now. She should be, you know, at least responding to her name. And then so we went to like the doctors and we went to one of the nurses and they were like, oh, she's just late. She's just a bit, you know, delayed. She'll catch up in her own time. Like, don't worry about it. And then I know my mum was like, oh, like something isn't right. Like she's like not responding to anything. Anyways, I think then some time went on and then we went to a different nurse and then she was like, oh yeah, daughter's deaf. So literally the next day we went to the hospital and then got obviously tested and I got my first pair of hearing aids. So it took a while for the doctors and nurses to kind of like, you know, believe my mum and kind of understand something wasn't quite right. But once they kind of figured it out, then I would literally got my hearing aid like straight away so I can start getting used to the sounds and, you know, my family's voices and everything. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't really remember it all, but yeah, that's what I've been told.
That's really interesting, Skye, because like I said to you earlier, so I found out that I was deaf about 6 or 7 years old, and it was actually on my hospital records that I was actually deaf from birth. But the thing was, though, my mother had never been told. And so the thing, I've heard about it before when people don't find out the death for a few years after birth.
Mm-hmm.
But when babies are born, they have a hearing test. So what happens in that hearing test for doctors not to be able to pick up at that time that a child's deaf?
Yeah.
What happens?
Honestly, don't know. I think when I was born, I just missed like kind of the start of like the baby like screening test they do now. I think I literally missed it, so they never did it for me. Like they never did it, and then obviously then a couple of years went by and they picked it up. But yeah, I think it's kind of weird to think that if I was just born a little bit later, they might have caught it at birth.
Terrible. Honestly, shocking. Oh, bless you.
It's weird. It's weird, yeah, to think, yeah, if something different had happened, would I be where I am now? Would I, be doing what I'm doing now? You just never know.
No, exactly. So what was your schooling like then? How was your life growing up then, being deaf and going through the transition of you had to wear hearing aids from the age of 2, is that correct? So 21 months?
Yes.
Yeah. So how was your life then once you had your hearing aids and going to school, etc.?
School was interesting. I never really quite obviously enjoyed school. But obviously before any school, my parents and my teacher of the deaf would have like meetings and kind of find out what I needed, what kind of they could do to support me. So like I'll give credit to them. They did their very best. They did really well. I got the education I needed. I think like with anyone who kind of doesn't understand it, they just don't quite understand what I needed. And just some teachers, obviously they got a lot going on, it would sometimes slip their mind, and I'd be like, oh, can you like repeat that, or I didn't get what you said. And then sometimes they would like blame me, and I'll be like, I literally wasn't doing it deliberately, I'm just doing it so I know what's going on. Yeah, so obviously they did their best, and obviously I had a teacher of the deaf come in every now and then just to check on everything, check how I was doing. And I also had like a radio aid. So then like when I was younger, I'd wear like a little pack around my waist with like a battery pack almost. Then the teacher would wear one. So then what they're saying could directly linked to my hearing aid. So all that again just kind of so all that just kind of amplified that sound and what the teachers were saying for me. So again, that did helped me a lot. But again, because I went to a mainstream school, I didn't know anyone who was deaf. I think none of the teachers at that point kind of had really taught anyone who was deaf, had really been around anyone who was deaf. So it was very much all of us kind of learning as we go on what to kind of do, what's best for me and stuff. What about you? Did you have any like people at school who kind of were deaf?
No, unfortunately not. So I also went to a mainstream school as well, and I actually, I've said it before in a previous podcast. So I think when you go to school and in your teenage years, it's a difficult time anyway, because you're becoming a teenager, you're going from a child to a teen to going through all these changes in such a short space of time. And then for people like you and I, we have disability. I as well, during the age of like 14, throughout all my high school years, actually, I had multiple operations. So I was, 1 minute I had a hearing aid, then I didn't, then I had ear infections, and there were times where my ear was so sore and I had a lot of pain in my ear. Teachers just sent me out because I was causing a distraction to everybody else. And so I was on my own having to deal with a disability that I didn't understand, because medically I was going through things with it at the time. And I had nobody around me that would support me. And then there was one teacher who thought that my hearing aid, I had the battery pack hearing aid that goes, the silicone mold that goes into your ear, and my batteries was running out. So I was trying to change the battery and the hearing aid was whistling. And then the teacher thought I was using my phone, so he tried to confiscate my hearing aid off me. And then I had to, that were a bit of a rigmarole as well. So it was difficult. I didn't have a good high school experience, to be honest. I was very much bullied and picked on, and it were awful. It just wasn't a nice environment, and the teachers weren't trained well enough to be able to support me. So that's the real frustrating part, really. I mean, I'm really happy for you though that you had a teacher though for the deaf, but on another side, I'd like to ask how much support was the teacher of the deaf for you? Because if she wasn't there all the time, how much support could there be?
No, she wasn't there all the time. I think maybe like once a month or every other month she would like pop down, kind of check everything. She was like really good. I had like loads of different ones throughout the years. Yeah, they were really good, and they because I had a lot of trouble with friendships and stuff, that was like a big problem for me when I was at school. So they would try and hold like almost like little meetings with my friends and kind of be like, so this is what Skye is going through, this is what we can do to kind of help her feel a bit more comfortable, feel a bit more kind of involved in a conversation. So they, bless them, like they really did try and kind of make sure I was okay. But obviously once they've left, it was very much like, oh, okay, I'll keep reminding everyone I'm deaf, and I'll keep reminding, what I need to kind of help me and stuff. So yeah, it was kind of very much it was a big time for me to kind of, I had to grow up very quickly to kind of be able to deal with it all. I couldn't, be a kid and just mess around. I did have to concentrate that bit more. I had to work that little bit more. So it was very much kind of, I had to just grow up really quickly at school. So, but yeah.
I thought the exact same, actually, Skye, as well, with my experience. I feel like I had to grow up because I struggled a bit with friendship groups. I think I was a bit in and out of different groups. And at the during high school years, I'm a lot better now, a lot more secure now, but I didn't have a solid friendship group that I was friends with for the full 5 years of high school. I think there were a lot of misunderstanding, really. So can I ask you more then about your friendship groups then? So what were the issues? Were you bullied, or what did you go through?
The issues, so obviously I had a lot of people make throughout like junior school, secondary school and stuff, and even when I was in college, lots of people would kind of be like, well, you can't be deaf, and I've had people say, well, something, so they just said like I was stupid because I was deaf, I can't achieve things I needed to. They said, well, you're clearly faking being deaf. And like people would say like, oh, the hearing aid, it's just an accessory, you can just take it out. And it's very much like really frustrating because when I was like at the school age, there was no way I was going to defend myself, or there was no way I was going to stand up, because I was so scared and I was so just like vulnerable. So people just really didn't understand. I really struggled with my friendship group in the sense of when we'd be sat in the lunch hall having our lunch or on our break, and it's so echoey and so noisy, and so constantly I would be like, what's going on? What are you saying? Like, why are we laughing? What's going on? And I'll be like, oh, don't worry, it's nothing big. And I'm like, okay, it might not be important, it might not be massive, but to me it is. Like, I'm missing out on this conversation, and then I'm missing out on all the little inside jokes. So then when they're talking about it another time, I'm like, what happened? Like, when did that happen? Like, what did I miss? Yeah, I really struggled in terms of sense of that, where people would just be like, they don't really need to know, it's not biggie. Yeah, people just really kind of underestimated me a lot at school, and would just kind of think oh, well, you're deaf, you can't do anything, you're stupid and stuff like that. So it was very much a big of a knockdown for me.
I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything what you've said there. I see a lot of similarities with the treatment that I face as well. I think you are often underestimated massively. I've as well, and during high school, I were accused of faking it a lot as well. Because 1 minute I'd wear my hearing aid, then I wouldn't, then I would, then I wouldn't. And so people then found it hard to believe why I needed it at all if I could survive without it. But there were times though where I genuinely couldn't wear it because I had an ear infection. And of course, during times now when I don't wear my hearing aid, it is because I'm being reliant on my left ear, but that's not fully reliable. So I do need a hearing aid to be able to hear better. But sometimes it's difficult. Wearing hearing aids too also has its own challenges too, because I don't know what you think about this, but because from the age of, I think I said to you before, I started exploring the Baha hearing aid from the age of 18, 19. And of course that's a long process anyway. And then when I've not worn a hearing aid from about the age of 14 to like 18, 19, and then you then put a hearing aid back on, you start to realise all the sounds and that you've not heard already, or you've not heard for a long time. And so even then going outside and hearing like the cars passing on the street, it's so overwhelming, and you're hearing sounds that you're thinking, where's that coming from? And of course, a hearing aid as well. A hearing aid doesn't judge the distance of where a sound's coming from. You can either hear it or you just can't. So it's so intense, and it's so like instantly you're on guard, and you're looking around. And so often, and I'll know as well, a lot of people where I work, they're gonna know this about me. But if I hear something at work, instantly I just turn around, because I don't know where I'm hearing this from. I can just hear something. Yeah. So people must be thinking, why is she always looking around? But I'm just like, because I can just hear something. But I don't know what it is. I don't know where it's coming from. I could just hear something. So that's how it's like, isn't it? So sometimes it's harder to wear your hearing aids. But then, of course, the majority of the time it is a blessing. You know, the majority of the time it's a blessing to us that we can hear that well. But then there are times where it can be really hard work and it can be challenging. And I think it comes down to the fact that people need to be patient, don't they?
100%.
How did your friendship groups develop once you left school and college? How did your friendship groups then thrive?
Once I left secondary school, I didn't keep in contact with any of them because they were just not very nice to me. They never obviously bothered to keep in contact with me. So I was like, I'm not wasting my energy on that. And because they all went to the same college, I went to a completely different one. I was like, there's just no need to kind of put myself in there. And I can you stop convincing myself that I'm part of that group, and I'm not. But like right now, I've got a really nice solid group of friends I've met at work, and they're like amazing, and they always like help me. And obviously they can't quite understand, you know, what I'm going through, but at least they try and, you know, accommodate to me and make sure, you know, I'm hearing everything, making sure they're repeating things. And you're just like, it's really not, I'm not asking for a lot to help me. I'm not asking for like a parade or like a gigantic, I don't know, gift. It's just something little, like repeating things and making sure we're in like a quieter environment and facing me when you talk. And and when my friends start doing that now, I was like, this is how it should be. This is how it should be working, and people should be. But yeah, it's just a shame that not everyone's like that, and not everyone's, you know, understanding of that.
Of course. Where you work now then, do they support you very well then?
Yes, their work has been really good about it. Obviously I struggle a lot because where I work in a veterinary practice. Obviously there's a lot of noise. There's like machines, there's dogs barking, and there's obviously people having their own conversations. And so very much I'm like you looking around going, where's all this noise coming from? And so sometimes it get really overwhelming and really just like, this is a lot for me to take. I don't know where sounds are coming from. But no, my work is really good, and they're very much kind of whatever you need we'll help you with, or just tell us if we can do something to kind of help make anything better. So yeah, they have been really good, so I can't fault them.
Brilliant. Skye, honestly, I wish that I'd met you a lot sooner, because I just feel like a lot of the things you're saying to me, it's so relatable, and like I feel that same way as well. It's just so unbelievable. So when I left school, I also went to a completely different college, out of the area from where I live, away from the area where I knew everyone from high school was going to go to, because I didn't want to associate with them people. I mean, very fortunate for me. When I started college, I kind of started it on a bad note, but I do fully take full responsibility that it was me that started on a bad note, because I'd come from such a bad experience and a toxic and negative experience. I had my back up, and I was very much in like self-defense mode, and I had this wall up, and people would say to me, what level are you in? Are you in my class? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? And I would just shut them down, and I'd be rude to them. And then they'd be like, we were just trying to be nice. But I'd snap at them and say something not very nice to them, because I felt like, I think I probably wanted to be the first one to get the word in before they did, probably. Whereas when I finally settled in there, I soon realised that they were all really, really lovely. And Very fortunately for me, college was definitely one of the best experiences that I had. It was worlds apart compared to my high school experience. But then after college, then I started work, and I think at work, not in all of the workplaces, but in one particular workplace, I definitely didn't fit in. I was very honest and open with them right from the very start about the fact that I was hard of hearing and the fact that as well I was neurodivergent as well. And they said in the interview that supported me. Then when I got into work, they very much then did not support me, and it was very, very discriminative against me. One of my manager actually said to me that she didn't think finance was for me. She didn't think I could do the job. She very much put me down. A lot of them put me down. And I think as well, when your colleagues see a manager treat an employee like that, everybody else joins in. And I feel like the treatment that I faced there, it took me very much back to like high school experience, and it made me feel like that again.
Yeah.
But Skye, actually, I'm glad though you brought it up earlier, because I did want to speak to you about it. So you are now a qualified veterinarian, is that right? Congratulations, very, very well deserved. So please tell us then, how did you get into that then? Did you go to college and study that? What did you do?
So I've always been interested in animals. I've always loved animals and wanted to kind of know everything about all the animals. So I went to Sparshot College, which is in Winchester, and they did like a special animal management course. And so I kind of learned all like the basics there, got my grades, and then I went to university. Obviously, it was during lockdown, during COVID, so that was a whole different, whirlwind of life. So I went to the Royal Veterinary College in London, where I studied veterinary nursing. And so I did 3 years, as well as obviously placement in between all of that. And I qualified July last year, and the practice I did my placement at, I'm now at a job at, which is really nice. So I didn't, while having the transition from being a student to an actual qualified nurse, I didn't have to worry about meeting new people, learning how the practice runs, because I already knew that from placement. So I can it was a very nice, gentle transition of where you're a student and now you're qualified. And obviously there's more pressure and everything, but it's a great job. It's so rewarding, and it has its tough days, obviously, but I wouldn't change it. It's my dream job, and I'm just so lucky to be able to be doing this. And so I do count myself very blessed that I can do the job that I absolutely love.
Well done you though, Skye. And also, do you ever look back though and think to yourself or remind yourself of all the people that told you that you couldn't account to anything, and now look at what you're doing?
Yeah, 100%. I just remember when I was like on my graduation day, and I was waiting to queue up to walk across the stage, and I was just stood there for a second, and I was like, I did it. Like, all those people who said I couldn't do this, all the people who said horrible things about my deafness and stuff, well, now I'm clearly proof that I did it and I can do it, and whatever you said didn't stop me, so that's their problem. And I was just it was just a complete surreal moment.
Yeah, absolutely, Skye. You should be so proud of yourself, and I bet your family's really, really proud of you as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice that like they came to my graduation and everything. But it's great. It's amazing.
Oh, bless you, honestly. Well, do you know, I think though as well, this is just living proof though that this is what my podcast is really all about. And it is really to prove that it doesn't matter what disability you've got, the abilities that you have are just endless. They really, really are. Can I also ask, Skye, have you seen anybody from your high school or seen anybody online, and basically, do you know that you're doing better than them? That sounds very, very bitchy, but it's true. It's true.
Yeah, I see obviously people through social media that I kind of went to school with, and I see them, kind of what they're doing in life and stuff. But I kind of just look at them now, and I'm just like, obviously, I'm very happy for whatever they're doing, and if that's the path they want to take, that's the path they want to take. I'll always be that person who will, congratulate you and stuff, because I would never want to wish anything bad on anyone. But I do look at myself, and it sounds horrible, but I'm just like, I did it. I did it with kind of without you guys. And yeah, I just want kind of, for me, I want myself to be proof to them that if they ever encounter someone with a disability, whether it's deafness, blindness, or anything, I want them to almost like remember me and be like, oh yeah, Skye did all this, Skye did all that. And hopefully that would just change their mind to not being so quick to judge if they meet someone else.
Absolutely. But do you know though, Skye, I do think this is what society though has done to people like you and I. Whenever we have like a thought where we think I'm doing better than you, we're being told by society we have to suppress that thought. We can't be proud of our own achievements despite other people trying to push us down and try to tell us that we're not capable of anything. We're so kind of conscious, like, well, I don't want to seem like I'm being selfish and I don't want to seem like this and I don't want to seem like that. Now I think, actually, I don't care what other people want to call me or say about me. They did do that to me. They did push me down. And now they thought I was never going to equate to anything. I've become an author. I've become an accountant. I've done everything they said I could never do. And I've done better than them. So what? And I'm not even sorry for it. I'm not sorry.
Yeah.
Are they sorry for how they treat you? I don't know. You know, when did anybody ever come to apologise to you?
I think we both should be so proud of ourselves for kind of, you know, defeating like the odds and like changing people's minds, because I know for me, and I'm sure as well for you with what you're doing, we want to show other people with disabilities that, you know, they're not alone in what they're going through. And again, just to kind of give them that little bit of encouragement and support to be like, they did it, I can do it. And yes, they went through really bad times, but they're now thriving in life and they're now, you know, doing what people said they can't do. And I just think it's amazing. And yeah, you've achieved so much. So congrats.
Thank you, Skye. But so have you as well. And I love to hear people though who have gone against the odds and stuff, because it's a very, very small percent of people of the population that when we kind of I've seen something actually online this week, and it's a group of moms. They're called SEN Reform, and basically they've been down to Parliament because they've got children who have different disabilities within this group. And because of the schooling system's failing them dramatically, and some of them are being left out of education, some of them are being told that they can't get the support that they need in education, etc. These moms basically are fighting for a change in the system. And the thing is though, Skye, if people like you and I and others alike, if we left our future in the hands of education or this country, we would never have achieved the things that we've achieved. It takes people like us to think, I'm going to separate myself from this school, from the treatment, from these people, and I'm going to go and do this path. Because if you'd have carried on doing that, that would have been the rest of your life. If you followed the path that's already been written out for you, because let's face it, every person with a disability, we have a path that's already written out for us. This world was not made for people with disabilities. We're not considered to be valued members of society, but we should be, but we're not. And so it takes people like us, though, to be willing to make a difference. We kind of have to persevere and push through all of that heartache and all of the grief that we get just in order to achieve something, just in order to achieve. I feel like from my own experiences, I've had to push and force my way into and through like a mainstream school education, through a mainstream college, through workplaces. I feel like I've had to force my way to be in that place because I wasn't welcomed. And it's hard, isn't it? It's hard and it's draining.
Yeah, it's so draining. It's just been, and like even now, like even though I've left school and I've got a job and everything, it still doesn't mean, okay, that's all the stigma gone and everything. There still will always be stigma, and I think that's what's so sad. Is kind of there's just, no matter how much you do, it's just like people just need to understand. People just need. It's not rocket science to help us. It's just, like I said earlier, it's little things just to help us, which make a whole world change. That make us feel much more included in everything. But yeah, that's what I've been trying to do lately. Just kind of show that you know, we're still human beings, and, you know, just little acts of kindness would just go a long way for us.
Absolutely, yeah, it would do, without a doubt, Skye. It really, really would do, yeah. So what change then do you think you'd like to see in the world, and how do you think it would benefit people?
I would love to see, obviously, I would love to see people be more inclusive and people be made more aware of deaf people and know that it's not something to be scared of. It doesn't change who we are. It's just an extra thing that we've got going on. It's like, I know some people call it their superpower. Do you know what I mean? It's our superpower is what, you know, makes us us. I would love to see a lot more campaigns and kind of like ads and kind of like, you know, modelling and TV show actors, singers, dancers, just more people, you know, being shown and not hiding it. Because I know what really boosts my confidence is when I watched Bake Off and Tasha was on there, who is deaf, and she didn't hide from it. The show showed her interpreter on it. Stuff. I'm not asking again for a big, you know, entrance of this person's deaf and this is what she'd like. Just, you don't need to make a big deal of it. It's literally just she's deaf. Oh, cool! But look at her still thriving on the Great British Bake Off and stuff like that. And I just think that's what we need on TV more and social media, because that's where people nowadays are on at the moment. They're watching TV or they're on social media. So I think they're the main areas that we need to have more kind of inclusivity of it.
I agree completely. And TV absolutely is one thing. But I also think, though, we need to see more people with disabilities actually in everyday life, whether that's in shops, whether that's in the workplace, in managerial positions. That's one thing what I would like to see more so, because it's one thing it happening on TV, it's great, and yes, it should happen because kids should see that. I feel like, from my experience, I feel almost like where I work now, I am the only person who's hard of hearing, and I've only ever worked in one place previously where there has been another person who's deaf there as well. But the majority of the place, it's always been me. I've kind of been the bit of an odd one out sort of thing. And so I feel like I'd want to work with more people alike because they get me. Instead of being like the outnumbered one, I'd want to work with people that they do get me and they do understand me. And we're the same in different ways sort of thing. And I definitely as well would like to see more disabled people in managerial positions, just to again prove the fact that somebody with a disability can also do it as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I completely agree with that. That's what we need for people to be more aware of it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I think it would help as well, though, by having somebody with a disability, though, as an MP in Parliament. Because I'm not saying that there isn't anybody in Parliament that doesn't have a disability, but I don't think it's broadcasted. There's nobody who we know them as, oh, this is the first disabled MP, or this is the first MP who's, you know, got this or that. I sometimes feel like the thing is with MPs, I do like my politics, I do enjoy it. I think with MPs sometimes, this is difficult really. I feel like there's a lack of relation to them. And then sometimes when an MP is trying to be relatable, then they'll throw something out of the pipeline like, well, I'm from a working class background, or I've got dyslexia, and they'll throw something out. And I just think, well, if that's really the case, why haven't you been advocating for this? Why are you only just now bringing it up? Just try and make yourself look relatable. So if there is an MP out there with a disability, I would like them to advocate for their own disability, and also be mindful that they're not the only one in the world with that disability. There will be others out there. So advocate for people like you. So that's what I'd like to see, I think, as well. What would you like to say if you got the opportunity to? What would you say to your younger self?
Oh, I would say to always be yourself still. Don't change yourself to make people like you, because I know when I was younger I would kind of be like, oh, do I need to change myself to get them to like me? And I would just love to just go back and say, you know, you're perfect the way you are. You know, your deafness is your superpower. Use it and use it to educate people. I would love to say you did it. Like, you did it. Don't worry. Like, you grew up and you did it. And I'd like to say that, yeah, I'm making a change. I'm really trying hard to make a change for then all the younger people who were like me at school who are deaf. And I just think it would be so nice for my younger self to kind of be like, I did it. Like, this is what she's doing now. Yeah, what about you? What would you want to say to your younger self?
Probably echo really what you've said to you about yourself, really. I would probably say you make it in the end. I don't really know. I think it's quite difficult. I definitely it was difficult. I did just persevere and I did just have to get through it like we all have to. So, yeah, I think I would just say to myself, you make it in the end. Yeah. Do you know what I do think is so really nice? This is just, it's reminded me actually, that I saw at my daughter's school, there was a little boy younger than my daughter and he was wearing a hearing aid, and it just made me smile because I just thought it's stuff like this, like conversations you and I are having that, you know, I don't know how big this will go or, you know, what'll come out of it or anything like that. But there's little boys and girls that they need things like this to be out there, because when you and I were children, they didn't talk about stuff like that, did they? They didn't. Yeah. And it needs to be spoken about. It needs to be discussed. We need to teach the future children who are also hard of hearing or deaf that it's okay. You're still gonna make it. You're gonna get to where you want to be. You can do anything.
Yeah, 100%. And I think what will stick with me for life is when I went to the hospital for like an annual hearing checkup. I was sat in a waiting room and this mum had her little girl and she was going through all the cochlear implant process, and bless her, the girl must have probably been not even a year old. And so I think when she was talking to me about her journey kind of through her daughter, and I was kind of, you know, reassuring her, kind of telling her the process, kind of telling her about what I do now. I think, like the mum said to me, she was like, thank you. It's like, I'm like, again, like you said, it proves that the mum doesn't have, you know, the mum is going to do a good job with the kid, and there's going to be obstacles, obviously, but I think the mum was just very reassured that, okay, I can do this. The child is going to, you know, whatever dreams they have, they're going to achieve them. And I think, getting more support for parents as well who are going through it is so needed, because bless her, the mum was, you know, obviously worried, and as she should be, because it's her kid. She wants to protect her kid from it. She wants to make sure her kid's okay. But I think more support for parents going through it is what's needed.
I agree. I really do. I agree with you there. I'm so happy that you actually said that, Skye. I think actually, certainly in the interim and at the present right now, there needs to be support for parents. But I also think, again, that, and I don't blame the parents for this, but I think part of the issue comes down to the fact that society for so long has believed that anybody with a disability can't live a normal life like everybody else. And I mean, I'm a mom as well, so like, I know if somebody was to say to me that my daughter had a disability, I would be like panicked, and it would knock me off the track, and I'd be like, oh my word, my poor child, my poor baby, etc., etc. Whereas being a child, though, with multiple disabilities, I know that, I just know from my own experience that, you know, your child's going to be fine. Your child will be fine. Your child can still do everything that they want to do. But when you're a parent, though, and you don't have a disability, and you don't particularly even understand disabilities, we all want the best for our kids. We want our kids to have all the access to everything that everybody else's kids got. And the minute, though, you kind of get knocked off your track and your child's got a disability, it must just stun you and make you so panicked and make you scared for your child, really. But I would say, though, to any parent that does have a child with a disability, the child will be absolutely fine. The child is going to thrive in life. The child's going to achieve many more things than what their own mind could ever imagine, than what anybody else's mind could ever imagine, because they will. They will, you know what I mean? They're going to live their life to the fullest that they can. And that's all you want for any. I
think the message to kind of send out is your disability does not define you.
No, just because
You just because you have this label of deafness or dyslexia or you're blind or anything, it does not define you, and it's not who you are. What's inside and what you do is who you are. Your disability is a little extra and what makes you unique and special and everything. So it just does not define you. And I think that's what I want people to remember and people to remind themselves. Your disability does not define who you are at all.
No, absolutely not. So true is that, Skye. One thing what I will also add as well, while we're talking about parents that are having to deal with children with disabilities, so because of the multiple disabilities that I have, when my child was born, I had convinced myself that because I have all these disabilities wrong with me, my child must have something wrong with her. And I was concerned that she had problems with her hearing. She went and got tested. Her hearing's absolutely fine. I convinced myself at one point that my daughter was blind. So I took my daughter to the doctors, and the doctor literally laughed me out of the doctor's room because he was like, she's not blind. She's following the torch around in every direction. And I was like, but, you know, and then when she started school, I was saying to her teachers, is she behind? Is she delayed? Do I need to get her a tutor? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And they were like, she's one of the top in the class. No, she's one of the top in the class. My daughter is in year 3 now, and next year she's going to be having a tutoring for 11 plus because she is so bright and she is so academic. And I, being a parent that as a child I was an SEN child, I convinced, because I don't know if it's like a lack of confidence still within myself or what, but I still to this day, I have to pinch myself the fact that I have created such a smart academic child that is advanced beyond her years, because I think, how did I create that? My daughter does work and does homework that I don't even understand myself. And then my child's doing her homework and explaining to me what she's doing. And I'm just like, well done, Millie. Well done, girl. It goes over my head. I'll read to my child. And at the minute we're reading BFG. And there's a lot of words in there that I really struggle to read anyway. So there's a lot of words in the BFG because of how the BFG talks. He's got his giant language, hasn't he? Yeah. So a lot of the words are kind of muddled together. And my daughter even says to me, she goes, "Mummy, if you struggle to read anything, let me know and I'll read it to you." Thanks, Millie. So I just think, I feel like for another example, I mean, I'm not an SEN parent, but I was an SEN child. So I just feel like I don't know what it's like to have a child though with difficulties, but as a parent though with my own difficulties, it's beyond belief how you can make children, like how your children can be so advanced when you went through all the difficulties you went through. But I just think as well, like, I'm so blessed for my daughter and how bright she is. And again, I feel like for your future and for anybody out there who themselves has a disability and thinks, oh, well, I don't know if I want children because I have disability, I wouldn't want them to go through what I've gone through. That doesn't mean that that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen. I don't know how genetics works. I was never good at science. I don't know how it works. But I mean, honestly, the things that people like you and I can achieve, Skye, is beyond belief. It really, really is beyond belief.
Yeah, I think obviously what you're doing is amazing. And again, you have every right to worry because that's a parent's job. But I think you just need to remind yourself you're doing a great job. You've got so far, you've achieved so much. And I have no doubt that your daughter and your children are going to absolutely thrive. So you should be proud of yourself for defeating the odds and, keep going and, just be proud of yourself.
Bless, thank you so much, Skye. And you should be as well, honestly. And then one day when you go on to have children, you'll make an absolute beautiful family. And there's so many people, though, who they're worried about things like that. They're worried about the future and the future children that they're bringing to this world. And they shouldn't. I understand why they are. I understand. But again, don't let your disability define your future. Make your own future.
Yeah, 100%. believe in yourself and just don't let anyone hold you back.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love them wise words, Skye. Brilliant. Is there anything else that you want to add or anything, Skye?
No, I think that's lovely. All just encouraging people, and obviously keep doing your podcast, keep, spreading that awareness and that education. But yeah, this was so lovely and I've really enjoyed doing this.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, yeah. Well, I've loved it, and honestly, Skye, I've never had a guest that I've related to as much as you, and I wish that I'd been spoken to you soon.
Yeah, it's been so lovely to be able to, yeah.
Well, Skye, absolutely, we definitely will keep in touch, because I want to hear all about your future journeys as well, and how far you go there as well in veterinary. You might become a manager of the practice or something. You just never know.
We'll see.
The future, though, you've got your possibilities are genuinely endless, though, without a doubt. Honestly, you are so smart. I know so many people without disabilities, though, who really struggle throughout veterinary school. So the fact, again, you've not only achieved the odds because of your disability, you've achieved the odds in society anyway, because it isn't easy, veterinary school, and you've done that. So you should be beyond proud of yourself. There's no words in the world that could express how proud you should be of yourself. You've gone beyond society's expectations of themselves and those with disabilities. So really, really well done to you, and thank you honestly so much for coming on here, Skye. I really do appreciate it.
I've loved being on here, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and yeah, we'll be in touch.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Skye. I'll see you soon.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.